This is the Wheel of Time Spoilers podcast.
Today, we are here to finish Robert Jordan's contributions to the Wheel of Time.
Now, there's got to be scenes in A Memory of Light he wrote.
Chapters written entirely by
like
Robert
this is the final.
Wheel
Yeah,
of Time.
this is it.
We're
This is the
we're
last
down
bit.
to just finding those scenes in Memory of Light that are obviously written by him. But this is the last pure hit of Jordan that we get.
I feel like I saved this last bite of dessert, but I still forgot that I have like my green beans to eat. But A Memory of Light's delicious. It's more like having steak left.
Yeah.
over,
I would. It's a good dish, but yes, it's a little bit of dessert, and you've still got a bit of your entree. But there's this bit of dessert. We'll get back to the entree later.
Yeah.
Like it's a good entree, but like, no, this is chocolate cake.
I love the way we talk about Robert Jordan's writing. It's just so rich and decadent.
It is. I was going through these sections, highlighting, half of a page, thinking like, and we thought this would be fast. And we thought this would be light and fluffy and fan service, and not much happens. And I'm just like, every other line. Oh my God. I'm trying to be so like harsh with myself. Like, no, you don't need to highlight that. You don't need to highlight that. And it's just like, Jordan, stop it. Why are you so dense of a writer? He is the densest of chocolate cakes. Oh my gosh, so much happens in this. So this is definitely the Sanderlanchiest of a Jordan book, just because of how fast and quick it is. You have tea behind you. So much happens here. This is the Sanderlanch.
Yes. Yeah. No, I really feel like he's spending a lot of this book introducing you to the world of the Wheel of Time and sort of sets up a very basic story, and then it all comes together here. But a lot of that story is happening in the background of like, and you kind of get a summary. He does the kind of in Wheel of Time where he goes back and has Moraine kind of give you a summary of what you should have caught on the first pass.
Pretty much.
I feel like you get a little summary here at the end.
And this is, in fact, a Moraine read-in.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. Talking about Suian. My bad.
I know, right? Chapter 24, Making...
Which, by the way, how gay are they in these chapters?
So gay. And then he tries to throw in this line about like, oh yeah, I haven't been kissed like that in a long time. And I'm like, bullshit. Like, yeah, boys kiss different than girls, but like, I haven't been lustful since I last kissed a boy. Nope, that is a lie that Jordan just felt obligated to put in there. That line is not real.
Computer.
This is an incredibly gay chapter. It's so gay. Dresses the girls very gay. But it's called Making Use of Invisibility, so maybe it's about hiding in the closet behind your respectability politics or something.
That's the meta title, not the being a servant and being not perceived that way.
Yeah, basically. And the symbol is the rising sun of Mearen, because Moraine, Mearen lady stuff.
Yeah, she's being a noble in this. That's how she's getting in, as faking her entrance.
Well, and that's the invisibility that Swan is able to take advantage of, right? Is that Moraine has all eyes on her, so Swan can just do the servant thing.
All eyes on me.
Right. Swan started up again while they were dressing the next morning. She disliked being argued out of anything, particularly when she thought herself in the right. And she usually did think herself in the right. I don't like you taking all the risks, she muttered, pulling a blue wool dress over her head. She had brought a change, as it turned out, and she had been near to snippy in pointing out that Moraine was the one with only a single dress to her name. I will not be taking all the risks, Moraine said, suppressing a sigh. They had gone over this and over it last night. You must take as many as I. Will you help me with these buttons? Swan turned her around by the shoulders almost roughly and attacked the 2 rows of small mother-of-pearl buttons that ran down her back. Don't be a gudgeon, she grumbled, tugging at the dress much more fiercely than was necessary. If this works as well as you say it will, nobody will notice me. You'll have all sails set, the sweeps out, and banners flying. I say there has to be a better way, and we're going to sit down and talk it over till you see the right of it. Moraine did sigh then. A bear with a sore tooth would have been better company. Even that fellow Lan. Doing up Swan's buttons in turn, she tried distracting the other woman by telling her how much the cut of her dress molded her hips and bosom. Well, for a little more than distraction. Swan deserved a bit of snippiness back. That's not snippiness. That's flirting. That's not snippiness. That's not straight snippiness anyway. It's gay snippiness.
Let me distract you by telling you how hot you are in that dress.
Yeah, that's gay snippiness.
Yeah.
And I just read all the way through there because of the mention of Lan. Just like the contrast of her life partner and love interest, the one that we know is real, and the person who's going to be her work husband, her other life companion that she goes completely all in on the secrecy and the intimacy. And yeah, it's not physically romantic, but like as intense of a level of trust as with Swan.
It's why when they said in the Wheel of Time show they are adapting the whole series, I went, well, okay, then Suwon's going to be gay. Because, like, if you read the whole series, including New Spring, like...
Gay!
Really gay.
So gay.
Oh,
they're so
God.
gay and cute together.
Yeah. So, I get it why that was probably the least bothersome part of the show to me, the least bothersome alteration.
It's so canonical. It's not an alteration.
It's an alteration.
It's like Elaine and Avienda. It's like they changed the way that they met and got together, but the fact that they're getting together is canonical.
It's just like you read some of these books and it's like, yeah, they're sleeping in the same bed. They're doing, and they're like, anyway.
It's very gay.
It's very gay.
So yeah, they go down into the common room. They do their breakfast thing.
This innkeeper, why does this remind me of another innkeeper from the main series with all the rules and stuff? There's another one like that somewhere in the main series.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
And I looked her up and it's not the same innkeeper, which I thought would have been fun. But it's just another one who has these rules that like Elaine can't, like Elaine and Nynaeve stay. Is it the Yellow Sister or, no. It's one of the inns they stay in before they get into a trapping.
Yeah, it's one of those random by-the-by ones. It's not Satala Anand's.
Yeah.
She runs it with an iron fist, and she keeps her daughters on a short leash, but it's different. There's a random one-off road trip in that, has essentially this character, if not by name. It's this archetype. Yeah, I can't remember which one it is because, it's a complete random encounter that has no long-term bearing.
So she goes off. This is chores, right? They're getting ready to pull off a bamboozle.
And it's a quick refresh of what we did in Tarvalon, right? Run to the bank, get some money, run to the seamstress. But in this case, we're going to a seamstress and breaking all the rules of convention and throwing money around like water to get the stuff done really quickly. But still, we're recapping the skills that we've shown we have and abilities. Like going to a bank is not a skill, it's an ability. But still, we're doing what we did in Tarvalon, just at a smaller scale.
Now, there's a mention of Black Aja, and this woman starts and runs off. And she's a imposing woman with ivory combs in her hair. And I was trying to find some connection, and I found nothing, right? I didn't find her, like, running off to go tell an Aes Sedai or something like that. She's just someone who heard the word Black Aja and got startled. Like, I've got nothing else. I wanted there to be something else.
My suspicion is that it's an eyes and ears type person who's going off to write a report, and it doesn't come to anything, but it's someone who is not ignorant of what an Aja is, right? This is someone who knows because they're some degree of inveigled and probably have a pigeon to send, but there's no evidence that it means anything. I think it's just evidence of the fact that the eyes and ears are everywhere.
So yeah, there's this whole thing where she does exactly what she's not supposed to do with the seamstress, which is demand a price, demand it comes early, demand the color, and just bribe her into silence with enough gold.
And just speed. So much speed. I mean, to say I need these dresses tomorrow is to say stop every other project you have and tell women to work overtime tonight. Like, that is really fast.
I'm inconveniencing all the nobles and all the seamstresses.
Yeah.
All at once.
Yeah, I'm asking you to take a professional hit on your reputation by delaying everyone else's project by a full half day of labor. Have some more money and do it. Like, yeesh, she is throwing that money around.
And you also notice why she's so busy? The king of Malkier is visiting because Lan's there.
The last king of Malkier died 25 years ago, obviously.
The king of that woman must have a complete fool.
Yeah, like there is no such thing as the king of Malkier. Oh my god. She's so
I learned that in
blasé.
school. My teachers told me.
She's so silly. It's like, girl, maybe there's complicated politics going on with the concept of reclaiming Malkier. Maybe you don't know everything that's going on with the rich and famous of the city the way the literal seamstress does. Maybe, like, pump her for information? I don't know.
It is funny to see Moraine making mistakes at this point in her career. Like, really
She's
obvious
such a
bad
baby.
ones. Yeah. And again, just on how good Robert Jordan is at writing the same character, but younger and more, more prone to miss things and make mistakes. And not necessarily do the wrong thing, but just miss things that she otherwise the Moraine would have caught.
Yeah. Yeah. We were so used to her being omnipotent and wise and thoughtful, and we're not used to seeing her being impulsive, reckless.
So Lady Inez, this is who Suan has been like checking out, right? Because they're trying to find her son. Her son's on the list. He's the one they think may have been born on Dragonmount.
Right. So basically they go to the palace to get close to the Lady Inez because she's a lady. And so Moraine has to be like, I'm also a lady. You should house us in the same apartment block for the weekend. And ostensibly that will allow her to get closer. But then because of, hashtag mysterious murder for 1,000 Alex, she can't get close to the Lady Inez easily. It's going to be a whole thing.
Who could that possibly be that killed her lucky husband? Well, okay, here's the question. Are they going after her husband or are they going after her son? I think they're going after her husband.
I think her husband and his son, because they're related.
But remember, Mearen isn't even going after this kid. She doesn't know anything about him. The Black Oddjaw isn't going after the kid.
Why are they trying to talk to her then, if they don't know about her kid?
Moraine and Suan know about her kid, but the Black Oddjaw don't.
Right, but they're just killing lucky men, right? This is the section in which we learn, they're just going after men with luck. Right.
And the kid this is not a lucky kid. Now, the other kid, this is where it gets confusing, because there is another kid.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Consort Briss, Brys. And that's the lucky kid.
Well, that's the father of the lucky kid.
Sorry,
the
yes,
kid is
I apologize. Dirk, right. Briss and Dirk. Thank you for correcting me on that one. So yeah, Briss and Dirk are the lucky ones.
I only mistook it 7 times while I was reading the chapter, so it's very firm in my head now that I've realized that I was getting that wrong.
No, you're right, they are, because they just die together, so it's kind of...
And he's called Prince because that's the position, but Prince is a name you associate with children, and the child is also called Prince, but it's just that men don't get to be king in this kingdom or whatever. I don't fucking know. But anyway.
He's Prince Consort, not Prince, right? That's the difference between Prince. Yeah, but they both have Prince in front of their name, so yeah, it gets a little confusing.
But I think that the Black Aja is taking the approach of any man who is lucky and also his male kin, because why not? Particularly his male progeny. Why would you not also take out the son? Because he might be too young to show channeling luck yet, but they're male kin, so might as well.
So I guess what I'm trying to figure out is, did her husband, Lady Inez's husband, get killed by the Black Oddjaw? Because as far as I know, the Black Oddjaw has nothing to do with Lady Inez or her son.
Oh, yeah. He was just an older man who died of a heart attack over breakfast, as far as anyone can tell. That's the only... Yeah, he wasn't lucky. He just died?
That's what I kind of have just made the assumption that any death here is a Black Oddjaw killing lucky men.
Yeah.
But this guy, her husband died suddenly. She loved him dearly.
Yeah, the only luck that this man had is that he had a relatively young wife, which is sometimes people just fall in love with an age gap. We both know that. That's not the kind of luck that would bring down the Black Aja. Right.
Because what we have to realize is the Black Aja and Moraine and Suan have different sources of information, right? And what we realize is that the Black Aja knows the Dragon Reborn is alive, but doesn't know how old he is. And they have no list. They're not going after these children, the same ones that Moraine is going after. It's just a coincidence that they're in the same place at the same time. They're actually going after very different families.
That's what happens when you throw a net really, really wide and you have no discrimination on who your free agents are murdering. You end up with a lot of crossfire and strange coincidences that didn't need to happen. I think it's just because they've blown it so wide open. And because there are lucky people in the Borderlands a lot, I would think, because cool Tavirani, noble, fight the shadow type stuff, of course the net's going to be catching people up here. Of course there's going to be Black Aja just generally doing that sort of shenaniganry up here. And anywhere that Suan and Moraine might go, really, right? They're doing this pogrom across the continent in every nation.
As they say, they could be killing hundreds of thousands, or thousands anyway.
They're definitely affecting hundreds of thousands of people. The numbers of widows and orphans that they're leaving behind with this indiscriminate style of killing is going to have profoundly destabilizing effects for a lot of people.
But so, yeah, we're of the conclusion that Lainey-Nis's husband died of natural causes because he was just an old man.
Yeah, I also had assumed it was a Black Aja thing, but given that the only detail we have about him is that he's older and he died over breakfast, I'm just going to assume a natural heart attack or a stroke. Doesn't seem like Luck or Mearen had anything to do with it. It's weird.
And 10 days is before they arrived, right?
Oh, right. Yeah, totally. So, yeah, that's so funny. Both of us just assumed. I'm assuming a lot of our audience also has never thought to question if this was a Black Aja death or not.
Right. But yeah, there's these two very different families, and it just our bad guys and our good guys are on two very different parallel paths that just happen to be parallel and take them to the same place at the same time, as best I can tell. Even though they're investigating the same thing, which is the death of the dragon, the birth of the Dragon Reborn.
Yeah, that's tangled, messy, blurry.
All right, chapter 25. Basically a continuation. The Shaitan is waiting for her. She meets up with the Shaitan.
Yeah, they kind of split their forces, right? Suki goes off to meet with a footman, right? She's going to do a little bit of flirting between servants to try to get access into the thing, right? Instead of going in through the front door, go in through the side door.
And she was scandalized by Leanne.
I know. How dare you be scandalized by Leanne using those same skills in a much more dire situation when you're like, yeah, I'll go make out with a cute footman to try to get him. Swan, shush.
That was after you were an Aes Sedai too.
Yeah, I know. It's so funny. And I don't think it's bad that, she's obviously very committed to, being a lesbian and she's going to go make out with a cute boy. I'm all for bisexual representation. That it's great. It's just, yeah.
And what is this line? She did not know whether Suan had ever been with a man, but surely she would not just to reach Inessa's servants, not a footman.
Not a footman.
I'm sorry, how close are you two? She's never told you whether she's been with a man? Also that you specify a man?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just the phrasing and the way it's put and the implications. The implications.
Many implications. It's not subtext. I also just love how how Moraine is just so scandalized by the concept of a footman. The way that she's yeah, it's just for subterfuge and it's just a dalliance and it's not really meaningful, but also I need to be classist about it. Even in the context of a disguise, I still need to be classist.
Well, and it shows you that Moraine has the internal classism that, of course, Suan doesn't, because she's a fisherman's daughter.
Yeah, a footman is a fine person from where that's higher up than being a fisherman's daughter in the social pecking order. A footman.
It's the highest you can be as a commoner,
right?
Is being a soldier. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, the idea that these two women who have fallen in love and definitely had a physical relationship have never once talked about their relative levels of experience with boys is hard to believe.
Right. Because, canonically, they've said they were pillow friends, right? And canonically, the pillow friends are people who they kiss, at night. ... Right. At least.
Yes.
At least. So it's just and to have that kind of relationship, even if you end it when you become Aes Sedai for whatever reason you think you need to not have that conversation, be well, I've kissed you. Have you kissed a boy, or anybody else ever?
Right? Yeah. It's just no, I'm pretty sure that conversation had to have happened. Unless Moraine is literally that much of a prude that she just but
Tyrion, man.
I can't even comprehend that level of prudish repressiveness. I cannot even.
Because we know that level of prudishness exists, right? We're not...
It's true.
ignorant of that fact.
But Suan would have asked. Swan would have brought it up. Swan wouldn't have been that much of a prude. Swan probably would have volunteered that information. Oh, you're so much more fun to be with than a boy. I'm assuming is what Swan would have said.
There are a ton of Aes Sedai, and I read that basically what's going on is the Grey Aja maybe trying to do the sort of grand coalition thing.
Oh, sure.
After the Aiel War, they're all trying to like get the rulers to agree to this like United Nations situation.
And there's a lot of Borderlander nobility up here, so it makes sense that your percentage of Greys in particular would be high around here. Yeah. Also, we notice that Reen and Bukama are here, right? Like Moraine had no idea that Lan was anywhere in residence, and then she sees Reen and Bukama and is like, "Oh no, I might run into Lan. That's going to be a problem." And then 5 seconds later, she decides she needs to run into Lan, but it's funny.
And also Derek swearing by Lan. By Lan's luck.
Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah, totally. She's just like...
Which also tells you how lucky Lan is of a man, right? So that puts him on the list. Puts him on the list.
And she knows that he can't be the Dragon Reborn because obviously he was not born yesterday.
Right.
But it puts him on the Black Aja's list.
Yeah, right. And Derek, of course, is now on the list because he was lucky, right? Like, so it's just like, Jesus, you're screwed if you die, you're screwed if you survive.
I know. Oh, another note about Moraine's Cavalier classism. She cared little for music and less for whoever played the instruments. In Kyrian, musicians were hired and forgotten. I was just at a hippie music festival, okay? And like the music lineup is a pretty important part of that entire gathering. You need to respect your musicians, Moraine.
Who does she marry again?
Literally a musician. Literally one of the most famous itinerant musicians in the continent.
I think that has to be just a commentary about who, like her marriage.
She doesn't care about who plays the instruments. You're going to be marrying worse than a footman, a musician.
A gleeman.
I know.
Not even a court bard, a gleeman.
Not even.
Lowly.
He could be a court bard if you wanted. Oh, I hadn't even thought about the irony of that she marries a musician after being so disparaging of the concept. That's some good irony. I like it. That's one reason why I like Moraine and Tom getting together. We found it.
the irony of it all. But it just tells you how much Jordan knew that she was getting together with Tom at this point, right? To include that sort of joke in there.
Yeah. If he hadn't made up his mind at Master Bard, he had definitely made up his mind by this.
The next thing I have is her encountering Mearen.
Yeah, so she goes striding off to find Swan and crashes into Mearen, Black Aja, Red Hill. Oh,
I did one quick note. Antal, who she encounters here, he's the one that convinces the great captains that Kandor has fallen and says abandon it. I don't know if you remember that scene in A Memory of Light. When Kandor has fallen, he's like, leave it behind. I am the sun, now the ruler. So
I completely forgot about that, but so this is the young son who picks up after. Okay.
The young version of him. Yeah. He's a young boy. Yeah.
I completely missed that because I was just like, oh, none of these names are fan service insert names. Of course, I never think, oh, but do they actually show up in A Memory of Light to do cool stuff?
I've checked them all.
This is why we're a good team.
Yeah. But yeah, Antal was the only one who really shows up in A Memory of Light. And he's the one who says, basically, when they're like, we need to save Kandor. And he's like, ladies and gentlemen, Kandor's done. Move on.
We'll recover it later. It's not for now.
So yeah, the Laurel, what do you think? She decided to go her own way, considering she's never in the series again, or do you think her body is buried somewhere out in the desert to never be found?
Oh yeah, she did.
Yeah, she did.
She
did.
The way Mearen responds to everything here is just like so evil, right? She's clearly lying. She's clearly disinterested in anything but getting Moraine out of the way. I don't think Laurel was anything but an obstacle to doing more murder.
No, and Laurel was insistent on coming here. She's the one who wanted to so badly. So this is the only thing that would have changed her mind is, a knife in the back.
Yeah, I don't know why she had to get killed if she was just some bumbling Aes Sedai doing normal above-board Aes Sedai stuff. Surely there was simpler ways to work around her than creating a body to be found later, but Mearen responds like a murderer in a book who is about to attack the main character. Like, that's how she's acting here.
I mean, I think you can say she went south and then she never got to her destination and she must have died along the way. And as a Black Oddjaw, you can lie through your teeth about what happened. And basically, that's a really easy way to get rid of another Aes Sedai. Like, there's a reason they're dwindling. The Black Oddjaw is polishing them off when they're inconvenient. And they don't even realize it.
Yeah, must have been a child of the light, you know? Aes Sedai die as easy as any other to a knife in the back. Must have been those damn children. Too bad.
Yeah, and we don't know. I mean, she's just murdering left and right.
She seems very okay with doing Aes Sedai murder.
Maybe at some point Laurel caught her doing some murder and had to go.
We get more reinforcement of how wrong Moraine is, that Cadsuane is Black Oddjaw. Just like, again, as spoilers things, like when this book came out, Cadsuane was still slightly unknown, but as spoilers goes, it's just like, yes, baby Moraine not having the best judge of character and trusting Mearen and not trusting Cadsuane when it absolutely should have been the other way around.
It's the moment that Mearen doesn't poison Cadsuane that you go, okay, Cadsuane isn't black. Wait, Varen's black.
Right. Yeah, it's those memes where the facial expression changes even though the text doesn't change.
Right. You're like,
No.
Varen didn't poison Cadsuane because she's not black. Wait. And that really put the purple Oddjaw rumors on peak, right? Because, like, poisoning someone is an evil thing to do, but if you're doing it because they're black and you're hunting the black, maybe that is, like, a reason to start poisoning people, you know? And, like, maybe Varen is part of the secret society that's out there hunting the Black Oddjaw, and they've been hiding. They're hiding in plain sight from the people who were hiding in plain sight.
Right. And that was not an inaccurate read. It was a secret society of one, but,
right.
you know.
More of a triple agent situation than a secret society.
Yeah,
but.
yeah. Potato, it's fine.
So she heads to Lan's apartments, basically because she's outed as Aes Sedai.
Yeah, she was planning on avoiding Lan as Lady Moraine Damodred, but as the exposed Moraine Aes Sedai, she'd rather get out ahead of that revelation with him and try to use him as an Aes Sedai agent.
Because as we learn at the end of this series, she wanted him as a warder from day one.
Day one. She's been running him through tests to see if he would be deserving of the bond from her.
And he's passed with flying colors.
Flying colors. So the second that she feels afraid as an Aes Sedai, because as a lady, she kind of knows how to handle herself as a lady. Yeah, she was a teenager when she went to the tower, but still, that's the life she grew up in. As an Aes Sedai, she has trained herself to think, one of my first jobs is to find a warder. One of my first tools to go to when I'm in danger is a warder. So as soon as she feels threatened as an Aes Sedai, she's like, where's that man I wanted for a warder?
But also look at the situation she's in. She's realizing she has to be on the road hunting these people down for years and decades. It's not a time to be without a warder. She needs physical protection. She's aware, especially after, stabbing Mearen in the back, how important it is to, be stabby.
Because sometimes you'll be denied the power. Sometimes the power is not the tool you get to wield. Sometimes you have steel, and it's helpful to have a professional steel wielder. It's also helpful to have some professional steel on yourself, as she discovers. But I also love how she hears that Lan is the, king of Malkir if he wishes it, and then does not change her calculus about wanting him as a warder in the slightest. It makes zero impact on how she considers approaching him as a asset.
He's got a golden locket. Is that the locket with his hair?
No, with his parents' faces.
His parents' face, okay.
No, the hair is tied in an elaborate bondage knot around the door, and that's why he can't leave his apartments.
I don't remember that locket from modern Lan.
No, it seems like he loses it somewhere along the way. When he brought it up in the text earlier in the book, we were wondering what happened to it. And clearly it's still here through the end of the book. I almost wonder if he burns it in the fire at the end of the chapter. She only says she smells burning hair. But the locket could easily have been destroyed in that fire without giving us any clue. Or he loses it somewhere in between.
Yeah, a quick search does not show locket appearing again in this book.
Yeah, so it's with him now. It goes away at some point. I don't think he would get rid of it when he burns his hair because it's like the pictures of his parents. It's pretty divorced from all of the stuff to do with the hair. But somewhere along the 20-year journey, he loses it. Maybe they have to, flee in the night with none of their clothes. Maybe they get, robbed at gunpoint or whatever. Like, I don't know. You'd think that Nynaeve would have mentioned it at some point, if he still had it in the modern books.
Yeah, no information that I've got because I don't think it appears in any of the modern books.
So headcanon at will, he loses it somewhere along the way in his career as Moraine's warder.
It is mentioned in Eye of the World in the story, right?
Oh, yeah.
She placed the locket around her son's neck for remembrance, and the infant, wrapped in swaddling clothes by the queen's own hand, was given over to 20 chosen from the king's bodyguard, the best swordsman. So that locket is mentioned in Eye of the World. So maybe that's why it got included here.
Maybe he does burn it here, because he does say he's burning the past. And if it was put around his neck for remembrance, maybe he takes the pictures out and burns them and then sells the locket as just a useless trinket or something. Like, I don't know. He keeps the ring, though.
It's interesting that in the Eye of the World locket, the only time the word locket appears is this story about Lan.
Interesting.
I love being able to search the ebooks, man. It's one of my favorite things.
That's really cool. That's been very helpful, being able to pick out those levels of detail that only a computer search, only a find search can possibly provide that.
Like, how many times does the word locket appear in this book?
Yeah, like no one knows that off the top of their head. That's a ridiculous thing. But with a computer, poof.
And it doesn't. The word locket does not appear in The Great Hunt. So I'm not going to search all the books, but yeah.
And I feel like it would have been mentioned by Nynaeve in one of the scenes when she gets to look at Lan shirtless. If he took his shirt off to exercise, the locket's still there in this book. You'd think Nynaeve would have noticed that. She doesn't mention it, so I don't know.
One would assume it's lost sometime between now and Eye of the World, but because I don't think he would burn it.
I don't think he would either. It's too relevant to his origin story.
It's also made out of metal.
Well, but I mean, you could still melt it into not being usable as a locket kind of thing. Like a hot enough fire, you could definitely fuck a chain up. Like, links are pretty small.
Especially if it's gold.
Exactly. It does not have that high of a melting temperature for purposes of making it not a perfect piece of jewelry.
I like his response to her when she asks him, just basically, I call you. He goes, you know the hills are high, but not how they lie. And I like that little rhyme that basically says you're book smart, but you'd have no experience.
But street dumb. Yeah. Yeah, no, I definitely thought that was a cool rhyming way to say, oh, bless your heart. And yeah, basically she says, well, Aes Sedai deserve allegiance from you. And he says, bitch, please. Let's have a quick little history lesson, and you tell me which way the scales lie. Yeah,
Malkier fell, where the Aes Sedai. And then she does something that she isn't supposed to, right? She exposes a lie the tower has been telling, which is the tower has basically made people think that they didn't send anybody instead of saying they failed and arrived too late. They'd rather think that they didn't care than they failed to help their allies. And so she tells them the truth, which is that they were sent. They fucked up. Didn't do a good enough job. Didn't show up in time.
The White Tower completely did its part, and it wasn't enough. And they would rather pretend to be unfeeling and playing 5D chess than to be fallible. And, like, that's messed up. But the fact that she wants to share that with him is like, so she really does want him for a warder. She is very determined that he will be her warder or he will be dead in a ditch by Sunday. Like, one or the other.
I mean, you see that especially at the end when she tells him everything about the quest.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Which we know from Moraine is like she doesn't tell anybody everything ever.
Right. I mean, we know that Swan doesn't tell Andric, her first warder, any of this. She doesn't reveal any of this until she's getting together with Brynn. Right. This is a very, very, very intimate level of trust. And the fact that she hasn't even bonded him yet and is willing to start in on that, she wants him. She wants him a lot.
But here she basically says, I'm asking you for a favor, right? I want you to follow Mearen.
Yeah, she says, I need this big favor. And he says, fine, if you answer my question honestly, fine. And her answer, and then her ask of him is be a spy. But don't actually be a spy yourself because you're Landman Dragger, King of Melkir. Like, ask Bukama to do it.
But don't tell Bukama why, right?
Yeah, I just need to get a little intel gathered. And it's such a small ask, and then it, unravels everything, right? This is why Bukama dies, is because he was sniffing around.
It's kind of sad.
It's really sad that Bukama doesn't even know what he was doing that got him killed.
Yeah.
That's such a bummer.
And the fact that he was killed by his friend.
That also sucks, but it would have been cool if he at least knew he was getting into a lethal situation before getting betrayed.
Moraine could have done more about that.
Nah, she sees musicians and soldiers with about the same level of regard.
And it is interesting that she doesn't want Rain to know at all, and that saves her life.
Because he'll gossip. Right? She has this very disparaging reason, not OPSEC. It's not OPSEC. It's just that she thinks that he'll go running off.
It's just
to
luck.
Her. Yeah, it's just luck.
So do we think Lan's luck is Ta'Veren? Ran Ta'Verenness now that he's born? Is that what's doing all this? He needs these people to be looking for him?
I mean, it does make all the difference, and this is an absurd amount of luck. So, I don't know.
So the next thing is Lady Estelle is basically being a spoiled brat and is like, you're going to escort me to the White Tower because I want to be Aes Sedai. I don't want to marry Lan. Meh.
Reminds me a bit of
Elaine?
that one... No. The one noblewoman that brings her house. Catelyn, I think? Catelyn of the Haven or something like that. The one with the owl pin that Dylan has to like take in hand during the whole succession sequence. The eldest of those. This girl reminds me a lot of her.
Sort of that similar arrogance, and you're going to do what I say, and yeah.
I mean, basically a 14-year-old noble lady who thinks that she could be Aes Sedai. They're kind of all going to be a little bit the same person because, like, their brains aren't fully developed, and, like, teenagers are a certain kind of way, you know? But that's what this reminded me of, was just that absolute arrogance. And, you know, it ends poorly for her in this case. Again, Moraine's dismissiveness kind of leads to Mearen getting another victim.
Yeah.
Maybe she would have gotten sucked into this anyway because she is used to summon the two, men to get killed. But potentially Moraine's dismissiveness adds another body to this overall encounter, which is a bummer.
I think there is a level of trying to set her up with some guilt, right? To be like, you really fucked this one up. Like, this is your initial thing. And it's like, yeah, these people died. And, like, also that she's cold and that she moves on and understands that she just has to keep going. But also, like, I think there's a real guilt here that she didn't handle it and didn't stop it before it happened.
Yeah, I think it's like you think that you know how serious the mission is because you're going to save the world, find the Dragon Reborn. But then to have this many people die this quickly because of a few moments of carelessness is like, okay, this mission is serious, not academic serious, not I read it in a book serious, like street smart.
This is people are going to die. Yeah.
You're going to get robbed. You're going to get shot, like serious. This is like, you have to move on. You have to stay committed to the mission because it's too important for you to be bogged down by guilt. But you need to understand the implications of what could happen and what might be demanded of you, right? It's kind of like her Aes Sedai test. Right, you have to leave people behind to die in order to achieve the larger mission. Like, this is a really intense version of that. Is like, you need to be very careful that who you get killed is only who's necessary to get killed, because you're gonna get people killed. Is it gonna be a lot or a little? Figure it out. Also, maybe hire a warder next time.
Yeah. Are they going to be innocent? Are they going to be, people who are trying to get involved and try and get power? Or is it going to be, children?
Right. And then, again, think about the way she approaches the Emond's Field 5 in book 1. I will kill you without a second thought if I think that you're going over to the Dark One, if you're endangering the mission. To Fael, right? She's like, I will leave you in this swamp to literally live or die as nature allows if you endanger my mission. Like, there's a reason why she's so cold. There's a reason why she's so willing to accept certain collateral damages, because she has seen what happens when she is careless.
Right. And she's probably also stepped over a lot more bodies than just these to get to Rand.
Oh, yeah. Not always because of her carelessness, not always because of her actions, but one way and another. By the time she gets to the Two Rivers, yeah, she has seen and caused a lot of deaths in the name of the greater good.
I am your greater good. So Suan comes back after, Moraine dismisses her and basically says, you can make it there yourself.
Yeah, which is what leads her to go talk to Mearen. Like, okay, fine, I'll go find a different Aes Sedai to talk to. Whatever.
And then Suan comes back saying, well, Cal knows how to kiss, right? And other than that, nothing. Just like, oh yeah, I was making out with him. That was fun.
Also, when was the last time you thought of that boy you made out with back in Kyrian? And so we get this, hint that they both technically had kissing skills before they got to the White Tower.
Right. But they certainly have been practicing on each other.
Yeah. And then we get a line that I thought was so quintessentially Suan when they put it in the show, and I did not recall it being in the books until reading it here. Skin me and salt me if you don't take idiot risks. When they put that in the show, I was like, damn, that's a Swanian line. Like, that just gets right at the core of who she is. And, oh, yeah, it's because it's a Jordan line.
Yeah,
Jordan
right
wrote
here.
it for her. Uh-huh. Okay.
I honestly think the only book that most of the writers in that room read was New Spring, because it's short. And it was written by Robert Jordan, and it's the basis of the characters. And because Rosamund Pike was such a star, I think basically they said, if you have to read one, read the shortest one. It's a prequel. It gives you the basis for the world, and it introduces you to Moraine. And that's one of the reasons why Moraine was such a main character, and was the character from this book, not the character as much that we see in Eye of the World. She's much more the Suan that we see in these books.
Moraine, but
who's just
also
a little more
Swan,
human and
yeah.
a little more fallible. And also Swan, yeah, as well.
Yeah. Yeah, the fleshed outedness of the Aes Sedai and also the immaturity of the Aes Sedai.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would buy that. I would buy that theory that this book is heavily overrepresented in the writer's room.
Just because they said, like, okay, I have to read something to understand the world. What's the shortest thing I can read? And they're like, well, there's the prequel that's short, kind of gives you an intro to the world, has everything you need to know, has our main characters in it, gives you the good background, tells you about the struggle, the fight for the Dragon Reborn, and gives you a good entry spot into what we're going to be telling and jumping off from.
Yeah. Yeah, that totally makes sense. And I mean, I can't disagree with that logic. If you're only going to read one book to try to understand the world and the characters, this would be better than Eye of the World. I always have said Eye of the World's a great standalone novel, but if you're trying to speed run the world that Jordan built, this would be a faster way to do it.
Oh, that makes me sad.
I don't like it. I just think it's true.
Yeah. It does explain a lot about what we got in the show, I think.
Yeah. Bukama makes a report to Swan, and she describes him as a grizzly old stork, which I think is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And also, this boy that she's been making out with apparently has already figured out a way to potentially get her a job if she's hard up for work. He really likes her. He's a very sweet man. He's like, I made out with this girl one time. I think I can figure out a way to get her employment. It's awesome.
It's shockingly true, though. So many people are like, oh, I like this girl. I can get you a job. I can get you in my life. I can get you close.
Sure. And so, yeah, they're kind of trying to figure out what the hell's going on with Mearen, because she's either a searcher or a Black Aja, which is a different kind of searcher for the Dragon Reborn. And they're all converging on the same people, but who knows why, and confusion, and maybe the Dragon Reborn will die before he even, learns to walk or whatever.
Also, this line, Moraine hoped matters were not going to proceed beyond kissing. Suan's business if it did, but that sort of thing was foolish, especially with a footman. Again, just this like, I don't want her kissing other men. Why, girl? Examine that. Why?
Yeah. Also, can we examine why a footman is so much worse than any other man? Like, come on.
I guess Moraine's just not in the feet.
Wrong book series. Okay, chapter 26. When to surrender. And our symbol is the Black Aja two-faced thing.
Oh, the one last thing I think we got was that this boy, Lady Innis's son, is still a candidate because he was born one day after the prophecy while there was still snow on the mountain. So he was within the 10-day window. So at this point, they're like, ooh, this is a good for once we found someone who fits one of the criteria, which is being born in the right time frame, at least.
And reasonably close to Dragonmount. Like, this is the closest hit they've had yet.
We know he saw the sun rising over Dragonmount. They don't know if he was on the slopes of Dragonmount, and we later find out that he's, in a village, 2 miles away, so he doesn't quite qualify. But, pretty damn close.
They're excited.
Like that's they're excited. They're excited. For now, they think he's a good candidate.
It's a false positive, but it is at least giving a positive signal for the time being until they can get closer. So we switch over to a land perspective.
Which is interesting because the last chapter had the land helmet on it, but wasn't a land perspective. And this one has the Black Aja symbol and is a land POV.
Yeah. That is interesting. I would have done it the other way around, but whatever.
Maybe the other way would have been the hint that Mearen was black.
It's pretty obvious at this point that she's not one of Tamara's searchers. So yeah, Lan is being Mr. Sneaky, right? He's trying to avoid anyone and everyone. And he spots Isel and Mearen talking together. And clearly Mearen gives the order to Isel, go get the princes, Briss and Dirk, and bring them to me.
And then I will help you.
He watches that exchange happen. Yeah, exactly. See, he watches that exchange happen, but too far away to hear it. But he sees that exchange happen. He sees a ultimately fatal order get given and taken.
And at one point he thinks to himself, only Bukama had held him here. Bukama in a dream. And I was trying to figure out, I didn't really know why those were holding him here. Bukama just as an ally so he doesn't go commit suicide, right? But what dream is he talking about?
The dream of reclaiming Malkir. He's being tempted, right? We saw in his last perspective that he doesn't want to accept this. He wants to refuse it, but part of him is questioning if he's right to refuse it. And he said he needs to go talk to Bukama about this. He's like, I don't know what to do. I need to go. Bukama has a right to dreams, right? Bukama has a right to tell me if I should give this up or take it. Do I need to swallow my pride and accept the raising of the golden crane, accept what my Karnaira is doing to me? Do I have to do that for Bukama and this dream? Or can I continue to be a stoic lone warrior who's going to go suicide in the Blight eventually and never lead men to reclaim Malkir? That's the dream. And Bukama is the linchpin, and he never gets to have that conversation with Bukama before he dies. And that's why. And then Isel dies, and so, the queen doesn't want to do anything. So everything dies. It's not just Lan's vision, but that's the dream. This is the dream of reclaiming Malkir, that it will take another 20 years, a Dragon Reborn, and one Nynaeve Almira to rekindle.
I think there's one Nynaeve Almira is doing 99% of that work there, Pretty
much. Rand is there as an excuse to keep Lan going for the intervening 20 years while Nynaeve grows up. Because Nynaeve is currently 6. She's not quite ready to convince him to take back a huge chunk of the Blight yet. She needs a little bit more seasoning. Also, puberty.
Thank God.
I know, right? She's a lot younger than him. She's 20 years younger than him. He's a reasonably adult person now. But they have a pretty big age gap, so she's just not ready for all that responsibility quite yet. But Rand is arguably even less capable of doing his part. So again, we just need 20 years before either of them can contribute whatever percentage they're going to contribute. You're right. Nynaeve is 99%.
About all Rand is doing at this point is shitting his pants. He's literally 10 days old. That's his only goal in life is to eat.
Sleep, shit. That's it. Mostly sleep.
He's a potato.
Yes, exactly. A leaky potato. 3 months old. Sure. Still basically a potato.
Oh, that's right. He's
a potato that giggles at this point. He's, I think, achieved giggling.
Right. This is, after 3 months, you're no longer in the fourth trimester, where you're still basically an external fetus.
You've officially exited the fourth trimester. At 3 months, you have finished the fourth trimester.
Right.
So yeah, he's officially achieved actual human baby. He's no longer a larva. He's gotten past the larval stage of being a baby and is now a regular infant.
I think of it as the marsupial stage because we don't have a pouch, but they're still kind of attached at the teat. For those first 3 months, they can't really do anything but be held and nursed.
Yeah, the pouch is just an external uterus in a lot of ways, right? It's a couple of different ways to get at the same basic goal, warmth and food. Warmth and food.
Yeah, and I do find it's interesting the way they go from this internal uterus to an external uterus to no uterus, but still having the nipple, which is still kind of providing nutrition and still kind of making the baby part of the mother's body at that point, right? Because that's where it's still relying on the mother's body to provide nutrition. It's not providing its own nutrition at that point. It can't process its own food. Yeah.
Marsupials are wild. Everything in Australia is wild, but
as this transition phase between and then I always wonder what is the benefit of the marsupial state? You just don't have to bear the child internally.
It probably makes delivery a lot easier when they're the size of a literal, not even a potato.
Yeah, no, they're like insect size at that point. Like they're real tiny when they're born.
Yeah, I think they're like an inch or 3 long. Like
Yeah,
they're very
yeah.
small, and they have to
Big
like
insect.
crawl along the fur, and it's like this whole journey. It's a good crucible. Like, are you strong enough to get from here to there? Like, okay, well maybe it's worth investing the rest of the energy, like with the milk and all of that.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
Because cutting off the week before they suck too much of your ability to make another one is like a strong evolutionary gauntlet.
No, I mean it's why spontaneous abortion is very common in women, right? Because
1 in 6 pregnancies.
Yeah,
It's pretty common.
very common, which is why legislating that is a terrible, terrible idea.
Yeah, because lots of those happen before you even know you're pregnant. It's kind of how it's always been for the entirety of being the species and beyond. But yeah, it gets rid of the whole egg thing if you have because you can have an easy birth, but also not the vulnerability of an egg, right? That's what the marsupial thing gets you, is the ability to essentially bring something as fragile as an egg with you everywhere.
Then why isn't it more common?
Because Australia is special. Also, marsupials, I think, are just an older form of life that has gone extinct in a lot of parts of the world, right? We have like 1 in South America, right? Like what's in Australia is what's left. Mammals
Gotcha.
are a different era of experimentation. I don't know. We're like from the 90s. That's like from the 60s.
The fact that you think that's more modern just dates you.
I was just trying to pick some relatively near. I was trying to like relate biology to fashion. I was just trying to like pick a ridiculously different scale and like what are some good decades that are like apart, but are I don't even know like when. I feel like I should know the relative difference between when mammals and marsupials evolved, but I don't. The Fuji's saying it's back when Antarctica was habitable, so that was a long time ago.
Yeah,
Because it's not inhabitable when it's at the South Pole. It has to be elsewhere on the planet in order to be inhabitable.
you know what kind of freaks me out is evolution and geology happen on about the same time scale.
Very related phenomena. Geology determines the pressures that shape evolution in so many ways. So, like the joining or breaking up of a supercontinent drives evolutionary diversity, splashing outward.
Yeah, there's very much a cause and effect system there.
Oh my God, what was I watching the other day? I was watching Fantasia the other day, which is from 1964. Is when Fantasia came out, because I watched that movie a fuck ton as a little kid, and I was watching it, with my husband just for funsies because we wanted to, watch it. And there's the sequence where they talk about the dinosaurs, right? There's the whole section with the evolution of life up through dinosaur times, and they end it with they have a little intro section, right? And they end it saying, "We don't know what happened to the dinosaurs to kill them all off." And I'm like, bullshit. And they're like, wait, in 1964 we didn't know? Like,
No,
oh
we didn't
shit,
know.
we figured it
That's an
out.
80s discovery.
And I had never really thought about like people were making colorized animated art before we knew about the fucking dinosaur impactor. Like, holy shit. That just, I don't know, putting it in that relative scale blew my mind.
They had to find the iridium layer all across the world at the same depth before they put it together. And then once they knew about the iridium all over the planet, which is only comes from, it can only be sprinkled evenly like that at a layer if it came down from a comet, right? Which is where iridium, it's not that common on our planet. Then they found the crater later with satellite imagery. Right, and put and found the satellite and dated the crater to the same age and put 2 and 2 together and said, "Oh, that's about the time the dinosaurs died."
Yeah, like, and the way they write it, it almost sounds like they haven't even found the KT barrier in any way. Like,
yeah,
they're just like, I mean, it kind of like went away. It's whatever.
It was found in 1978 while drilling for oil and gas deposits. Thank you, Salmon Asai.
The iridium or the KT boundary?
The impact crater was found in 1978, not the iridium.
So yeah. Everything about that, all the science about that, all the discoveries, all the papers, all the bitching, all the back and forth, all the drama, all the conferences, deeply far in the future when Fantasia was being written and put out. And it's just so trippy to be like, you mean that there was a time when people like genuinely were like, we don't know what happened? Like, I know that's true intellectually, but it was just such a weird emotional, like, wait a second. I haven't watched this movie like since I got into science. Last time I watched this movie, I was like 8, right? Like,
I mean, I remember in my lifetime them figuring out what killed the dinosaurs. I remember growing up not knowing what killed the dinosaurs. Like that is in my lifetime.
Simon Asai, you're such a brown Aja. The famous iridium layer at the Cretaceous-Tertiary boundary was first discovered in 1980. Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah, see, like when I was a little kid and this stuff was hot new shit, it was one of those things where like I just figure it's hot new shit to me because I'm a little kid and everything in the world is hot new shit, and it's just the world expanding as my brain gets bigger and I pay more attention. Like appreciating how hot and fresh that actual science was when I was a little kid is kind of like, whoa. My galaxy brain has nothing on the feeling I'm having right now.
Oh man, it is the sensation of discovering something that is just like the sensation of tripping and falling down the stairs.
Like Lan is
Like Lan just did.
Mearen is science.
Yeah, gravity's also science. And if someone trips you and pushes you using the one power, you're still going to fall.
But he has the reflexes necessary to not break every bone in his body when falling downstairs, which is to go limp and let physics do what it will do to you instead of trying to like fight and control and take and
tense up and break.
Then you'll break. He should have died, but he doesn't die for a lack of, or because it's not necessarily luck that allows him to survive this fall. We see him take the only
skill,
action.
yeah.
But that is a martial artist reflex, right? Normal, regular people tense up and don't realize they should loosen up until they're halfway down the stairs. A true martial artist, someone who really genuinely understands their body and how to fight and where they are in space, will immediately go limp. And, we know that about him, but in case you forgot, he's like that.
Yeah, and of course he was tripped by Mearen.
Naturally, yes.
She heard him. She was embracing the one power. So even though he was being too quiet for anyone normal to hear, Moraine's assumption later is that she was holding the power, and therefore she had her, heightened senses and heard him. And then, didn't have to follow him or anything, just used the one power to trip him when he was at the top of the stairs.
Also, he was probably already on her hit list anyway because
Right.
of the luck thing. So she's like, how convenient that you're alone in the hallway where no one else can see what happens.
No, because she does tell Rain, kill him right this time, right? Which implies that he hired the guy who tried to kill Lan last time.
Sure. I'm just saying she wants that man dead one way or another. And he's giving her the perfect opportunity. So why not?
So, and then that terrible line, come on, Mandragoran, it's your man Bukama. He may still be alive. That's a rough phrasing. That's a rough phrasing.
That is like, this message is from a deceased crawler. Levels of gut punch. You're like, wait, no, the implications, no. And then, yes.
So, and then he has the thought, how could he have let anyone close enough to do this? Because he thought it was his buddy, Rain.
Right.
How he would have sent someone drawing a dagger, not if it was his buddy drawing a dagger in what he thought was a defense.
Right. Yeah, no, you feel your friend at your back draw a knife. You assume that means you're about to be in a back-to-back fight together.
Right.
Not that...
Yeah, you put your back to him and he stabs you in the back.
Yeah.
Bukama might not even known he was betrayed.
That's what I'm saying. He didn't know he was on a sneaky mission that might get him stabbed in the back. He had no reason to expect that. And then before he has a chance to be upset about it, he's dead. And yeah, Lan goes from being on the edge of running away from everything because, his childhood rapist is trying to marry him to her daughter, to running straight at an Aes Sedai with no regard for any of the implications, right? The loss of Bukama, because we were just saying, like, what holds him here is Bukama in a dream. And he wanted to talk to Bukama about that dream. And now he can't talk to Bukama about that dream. So every single thing he was doing to keep this house of cards up is gone. So he's now on a completely different mission and trajectory. And yeah, by the time that he's able to slow down and think about it, his intended bride is dead and beyond his ability to choose to run away from. He becomes Moraine's warder in a lot of ways in this moment. The loss of Bukama marks the beginning of Lan being adrift in a way that lands at being her warder.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I would say this is the transition period, right? Because he's not really her warder till she goes and gets him at the fire in the epilogue.
But this is, a transition phase.
Yeah, it frees him from his previous obligations and really sets him... Because I think at the end of this, he's riding off to go die in the Blight.
Yes, but he also, at this moment, runs to Moraine to address her and says, you're the problem. What's going on? You fix it. You explain it. Right? Like, without Bukama as a North Star, Moraine becomes his North Star. Even if, he does, think he's running off into the Blight after this. Still, she's the first person he goes to. Granted, to be mad at her, not to ask for her help, but still, there he goes.
And she immediately says, like, hey, it wasn't me. It was Moraine. she saw you. She was more dangerous than you think.
Right. She basically says, "Oh, that confirms a lot of things, and let me now lay out to you what was a puzzle is now a picture."
Mm-hmm. And then she and it makes her connections, right? She connects all the ideas that that she's been hearing about. That they don't understand what's actually going on. They're just hunting lucky men. They're just hunting men who they think, because people who can channel often are reported as lucky, rather than because they don't realize what they're doing. So they just seem to have really good luck.
Yeah, but then Lan makes a mistake. He makes a big young person judgment error. All Aes Sedai are dangerous. Is safe enough for the moment? I saw her on my way here, hurrying somewhere with Briss and Dirk.
Mm-hmm.
If you had run after her and tried to save her the second that Moraine said she's with the Black Aja, you need to get her away from her right now. If he had done that, all three of them might have lived. That maybe, 30, 45 seconds that they spend there talking might have been the difference in being able to change the entire outcome of this. But he's mad about Bukama being killed, which is fair. I'm not saying he made a dumb mistake. I'm just saying Moraine's not the only one who leaves a trail of bodies behind with the way that she makes snap decisions. They're both 20 years younger.
Totally. So she figures out where would he have a private meeting, which is up on this roof, because we saw them having that private meeting earlier with Lan, right? So that's that's his private space. And so she runs up there and we encounter, she interrupts a murder, essentially.
Yeah, she goes from nervously fingering her knife when Lan bursts in to running into the situation with an Aes Sedai, being like, how am I going to deal with her? She's so much stronger than me. She's so much older than me. She ends up using that knife. That knife that she's like, this won't do any good against Lan, but it will do you some good against this bitch.
Who turns her back on you when she thinks you're not a threat because you can't channel.
Yeah. And she's afraid. She wishes Swan was here. But all you have is your warder. You don't have your wife, but you do have your warder. And she arrives absolutely mid-murder. We are the mustache is being twirled. The bad guy's soliloquy is on its third paragraph. Yeah, Mearen is taking a little bit too long to do this if she wants to not get caught in the act.
She's monologuing.
Yeah.
She's monologuing. Also interesting how powerful she is, right? She must be one of the strongest Aes Sedai around at this moment, that she can pick people up and float them, that she's stronger than Moraine. Moraine's not at her full potential, but she's stronger than Moraine at this point. So she must be just really high on the power scale.
Yet another Aes Sedai loss that helps bring down the overall amount of power that the White Tower has to draw on. Granted, she's Black Aja, so she's not truly an asset, but a lot of high-powered Aes Sedai die in this book, and over the course of the next few months, the White Tower really stair-steps down its headcount and total strength in this book.
Well, I mean, this is when the Black Aja is going full murder hobo, basically.
Yeah. Peak murder hobo, at least within recent centuries.
Right, they're taking down anyone who knows anything about the Dragon Reborn. Yeah, she has a strength of 14-2, only a little bit below Moraine's ultimate strength. So she's essentially as powerful as Moraine is at full power, just a little bit.
Okay, I was gonna ask, what is Moraine's number at the end?
Let's see. Moraine ends up. Well, we're assuming not with the bracelet.
Yeah. Just her natural strength.
13-1.
Okay. 14-2 versus 13-1. So yeah, Mearen's strong. Very strong.
And then she was reduced to 66-54. But yeah, I mean, essentially, one means that's the top ranked powerful Aes Sedai in the tower before the series started.
Yeah. And Mearen is a 2. And there's just not a lot. There's not a lot of competition up there. It's very rarefied air as far as the ranks go. So yeah, we have a scene of a fight here that kind of reminds me of Moghedien versus Nynaeve in a lot of ways. Where...
Ooh, hold on. I have a list here I want to go through. Okay, whatever. Kolinda, Wise One, Elida. These are 13 ones. Elida, Leanne, Moraine, Rayan, which is a Windfinder, Ramonda, so Lelaine and Ramonda, which are Romaine, Suan, and Zarya, who's a kin. And then 14-2, we've got a bunch. Aisha, Bera, Satalia, Kosane, Galena, Christine, Laurel, Leanne, Leandrin, Mearen, Pavara, Renee Corley, Saren, Shiriam, Yukiri. Right? So that's a good number of sort of our top level.
Yeah. Oh my god, I have to go back to another line. So back in the chapter and answer, there was a line of foreshadowing that I wanted to point out that I forgot to point out. Swan and Moraine are talking, and Moraine says, Sierra and herself can toss her, Cadswain, from the top of the tower for all I care. That's a little bit of a bummer foreshadowing, given that she has to watch multiple people get tossed off the side of a tower.
Ooh, I didn't even think about that. I was trying to relate it to Codswain, but yeah, that's a good point.
Like, some Aes Sedai bitch can throw this person off the side of a tower for all I don't know. I saw that and I was like, oh, you're about to have a very traumatic experience with someone getting thrown off of a tower. Multiple someones, actually. I forgot to mention that line.
So, and then you were saying that this fight reminds you a lot of Nynaeve and Moghedien?
Just in that one of them has a lot more confidence than the other one, and there's a lot of power whirling around and a lot of different weaves and the slicing and the stabbing that are all power-based. Obviously, they're more... It's obviously a very different fight in a lot of ways, but Moraine is very much Nynaeve here. She's doing her best. She's struggling to keep up, and she ultimately has to resort to physical violence because the one power is too evenly matched.
Yeah, they're not just trying to cut each other off from the power. They're also slicing each other's weaves, right? And so it's a more complicated fight in that way, but it feels very similar. I see what you mean.
Well, that's why it was part of the same. Is because they are like snapping each other's weaves back because they're trying to like get to artifacts in the museum fight scene, right? Like, so it's really parallel in the sense that they've got like the spiritual weaves for the power and also the like physical weaves for objects, or in this case people, and the weaves snapping back into them. And yeah, so it's just, again, Moraine and Nynaeve have so many parallels across their lived experiences. It's just like there's one way to be a strong woman who's in Rand and Lan's orbit while the world goes down.
And what do you think Lan is thinking now, seeing Rain be a traitor and realize he's probably the one who killed Bukama?
I mean, a level of rage and fury and skill has just been unlocked in Lan that was not there before, right? I mean, yeah, because he has no one to protect.
Feels like a level up moment, yeah. And he's never been able to beat Rain before.
But that motherfucker just stabbed his only living dad. Like, and also, as Lan says, like, you give up when you're dead, right? Rain and Mearen both give up on the fight before their opponent is actually dead. They do not double tap. They both say, I'm bigger and powerfuler and more skilled. I don't need to worry about you once I have you below 5%. And as anyone who's ever played D&D or other tabletop knows, like, it doesn't matter how few hit points the enemy has, they can still fire the weapon and hurt you. But yeah, particularly with Lan having his one dad's body still warm on the floor from this guy, killing him. Yeah, Rain didn't stand a chance. Lan is thinking, because Lan has already fought like he has nothing left to lose. He already fights like he has nothing left to live for. And now he truly doesn't have anything left to live for. Like, he's looking at Rain going, today I beat you, And
that's actually a pretty good strategy when you have an Aes Sedai that can heal anything but death. It's like, sure, take whatever grievous wounds you need to take in order to win.
Yeah, a gut wound takes 15 minutes to kill you. That's plenty of time for your Aes Sedai companion to stagger over and stop your blood from being poisoned.
Yeah, here's the line that she says, see if you can make certain of the younger one this time. Right, so that does seem to imply that Rain set up the assassination attempt on Lan earlier in the book.
Yes, for sure. Also, Mearen starts chatting with her calmly. That's a Moghedien move. When she's fighting with Nynaeve. And Nynaeve uses that information to go, oh, she's actually distracted and straining, whereas I think Mearen's just doing the bad guy thing. Bad guy soliloquy stuff. And, basically threatens to torture Moraine. Moraine never once thinks of trying to kill the woman until things get out of hand.
Yeah, I didn't really understand that.
Because, they're going to do a little mutual question. She thinks she's going to uncover the entire Black Aja from a single torture session with this one woman. She does not understand how hard it is to torture people. She does not understand how the Black Aja is organized to prevent that sort of a massive data breach. She's overestimating her ability to handle this woman, I think, is what's going on there. And like Lan does lose this fight until he doesn't, right? Lan is losing until he wins.
Yeah, no, he does say Rain is better. Like, Rain is better. He just sort of, he wounds Lan's sword arm and then says, ha, I've won. You can't beat me without that sword arm. And Lan goes, want to bet? I didn't come here to win.
I came here to kill you.
I came here to kill you.
So.
I mean,
Very much so.
Yeah, same philosophy that keeps him going in the last battle, and the same determination that lets him win the last battle is used here.
Yeah, it's like, if I'm still alive, I'm still trying to kill you. That is simply all that is to me. I am Lan Mandragoran.
Mearen drops the child over the edge, kills the child first because he's the most, he's the lucky one. She's the one that's most important for her to kill.
Right. The other two are witnesses, but that is the central murder that she's supposed to achieve.
She kills the father, and he just is pissed, obviously, because he just watched his son die, right? And he knows there's nothing he can do. So, I mean, that's a rough death at that point.
To be held motionless while your child is lifted up over a void and dropped is probably about one of the worst things that can be done to a person's mind.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. You're going to stare murderous daggers and have no fear of falling yourself for the rest of your life when that is what just happened. Like, this book is so light and fluffy and full of fan service, and then this like horrifying like triple homicide happens like
at the end. Yeah.
Oh, so light and fluffy. Yeah.
Wheel of Time is a horror novel. It really, I think it does better when it leans into that.
Yeah.
Like, Eye of the World is horror. It really is.
Totally. And somewhere along the way, Ezell goes from being a willing messenger to a tied hostage. I never quite catch when she gets tied up, because she's just standing there at first, right? Because initially it says, Briss and Dirk are standing by the rail, twisting futilely against bonds and gags of air. Ezell was frowning at the prince and his son, and is talking petulantly, like... And so I don't see... Oh, you did not do well enough killing the spy, Reen, Mearen said calmly as she wove a gag of air to stop up Ezell's mouth and bonds that held the girl stiff and wide-eyed. I literally highlighted that line because it was in the middle of other things I wanted to read, and I just missed it. I have no reading comprehension, guys. I am a hack and a fraud.
There's a lot here. I mean, yeah, here, Ezell was trembling, snuffling, and weeping and staring wide-eyed at where the boy had fallen.
Yeah, that's after she's been tied up.
Yeah.
But yeah, just the way that's written, it always made me think that she's still just standing there frozen in horror. I always miss that she's already been tied at that point. But yeah, she's a witness. So essentially, as soon as she goes to Mearen and Mearen decides to use her as a messenger, she's saying, and I'm going to kill this girl too.
Oh, 100%.
I don't know why she's so cavalier about racking up bodies. It seems like there was, again, a less body count way to get these men alone than to bring this princess into the picture. Like, couldn't you just send a servant to summon them and then dismiss the servant before you start doing murder shit? Like, wouldn't that be less work?
Maybe she was going to use compulsion of some sort to trick her mind.
Then why doesn't she?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, yeah, the Vuji's theory that she's in it for the love of the game continues to hold the most water, even though that feels completely out of character with the subterfuge that the Black Aja is expected to operate with.
Yeah, but she just seems to be a particularly murder happy, and who knows what kind of cover story she's planning on enacting, right? Like,
I'm a headcanon that she's going to be severely grilled and punished, if not executed, by the Black Aja for how cavalier she is with racking up bodies on this little trip north.
I could think some story about Briss is cheating on his wife with her, and she threw the baby over, and in revenge, he took them both out. Like, some cover story like that. I don't know.
Don't think that would be what they would come up with.
No, I don't know.
She's really cartoonishly villainous.
There is a bit of twirling the mustaches moment here, but, it has to be very obvious to Moraine. There can't be any question about whether the Black Aja exists or whether the Black Aja is evil.
Yeah. And so, yeah, somehow in the course of Dirk getting dropped, Moraine also gets hit with a particularly bad, backlash of her own power or something and, can't channel for the rest of the fight. She gets shielded. That's what happened. Somehow she gets pushed over, hits her head, loses the power, gets shielded. And at that point, Mearen assumes, well, I've shielded and I to die. Surely she can't do anything to me. And turns her back.
I mean, I think that Mearen hits her over the head with air, right? Mearen is slashing the weaves and then just like...
I mean, it seems like something hits her in the head, for sure.
She diverts her flows to try and rescue the boy, at which point she's not defending herself anymore and she gets knocked over the head by Mearen.
And yeah.
She's not... That's what she sacrifices herself, basically, to try and rescue the boy at the last minute.
Yeah, and then Mearen has a little bit more power to hit her with because she's releasing the weaves on the child.
Yes.
And so, yeah, then Moraine hits the ultimate rock bottom. She could not channel. She had no courage left, no strength, only determination. Basically how she's going to feel right before she plunges through a redstone doorway with Lanfear tangled in her arms.
Yeah, and it says she plunged her belt knife. Doesn't say she drew it. Doesn't say she pulled it out. She just drives it into her back.
Look, she's not paying a lot of attention. Her mind is oscillating in and out of consciousness, but her hands know what to do. And yeah, she stabs a bitch in the back. Sometimes you just gotta shank a bitch. You know? You're down to pure desperation and no power, but you still have 8 inches of steel.
And it goes right into her heart. She drops dead pretty much instantly.
Moraine's a cold one. She's never killed a person in her life that we know of with any means whatsoever. As far as we know, she has never been directly and intentionally responsible for someone's death. And now she is just one-shotted this bitch.
Mm-hmm.
And before she can process that, she has to grab Ezell, who gets dropped on, I'm assuming, like a round, skinny railing.
Yeah, or just the edge of a, 90-degree ledge type situation.
Right, but only her toes, like the entire bulk of her foot is like, yeah, it's not enough. So we have an instant slip, and Moraine, tiny, itty-bitty little Moraine, is able to arrest the fall for a moment, but can't fix it. She can't solve it. And then the Sam drops Frodo into the lava.
Right. And then I like that Lamp pulls her away and says, don't watch a death you don't have to.
Of a girl that he was trying to avoid marrying, of a child that he saw going around as the child of a woman he cares about in whatever twisted way. Like, that's a death that should have, sucked him in with the horror of it too. Like, he saves them both from the trauma of watching her go splat.
And I wonder if he was trying to get there in time and just didn't quite make it.
One assumes that as soon as Rain's body falls and Lan sees Moraine getting jerked to the railing and Ezell's hands going down, like as soon as he's like crawling and scrambling, and it just all happens too fast. I don't think that he calmly got up and sauntered over to see if she was all right, like he was trying.
And then, yeah, you get that moment where he basically says, he was better, but I thought he was finished. He thought I was finished with only one arm. He never understood. You surrender after you're dead.
Right. And I mean, and that's even Moraine as she's holding on to Ezell, like trying to calm herself enough to grab the power as this girl is like screaming and slipping out of her arms and there's this fall. It's like the Aes Sedai test, right? Like, can you remain calm enough to remember how to channel?
Mm-hmm. And in a lot of ways, she does fail, right? Like, if she'd been able to calm herself in that moment and seize the one power, she could have saved her life because she could have grabbed her with the one power.
Yeah, exactly. And that's perhaps one of the bitterest lessons that you have to learn as an Aes Sedai. It's something that Cadsuane clearly has internalized long before any of this ever started, is that you can't save them all. You will fail, even when you try. I mean, that's what the White Tower failing with Malkyr is, right? They failed. The White Tower failed. Moraine, Damodred, Aes Sedai failed. Even when you do everything that is humanly possible and then some, sometimes you have to accept that you'll fail. And you have to like pick up and keep going, right? You have to continue pursuing the Dragon Reborn because the world is still in the balance even though you failed, despite everything you tried. Like, what a lesson for perfectionists to try to internalize, you know?
Nice.
But also age, right? Like, Moraine in another 20 years would be enough more strong, enough more calm, enough more practiced that this would have gone slightly differently. She would have been able to save at least one of them, right? Like, you see her greenness here. Greenness as in newness, not as in Aes Sedai, obviously.
Right.
But yeah, the advice of don't watch a death you don't have to. Hey, all of TV, especially since Game of Thrones. Could we
Right. Could we
have
maybe
this
adopt that a little
slightly
bit?
less on-screen death? Just slightly.
Whatever. We like blood and guts and death.
So my TV, every time we turn it on, it'll pop onto some, blank auto channel kind of thing. And for a long time, it was this weird like car repo thing. And we changed it to be like a home remodel deal. You can manage to change the default. And then we had like a power outage or a system update. And I turn it on, and one of the first things I see is some fake out death or, some like someone getting shot in a preview for a plane hijacking movie. And I'm just like, I just wanted to turn the TV on so I could get to fucking YouTube. And the first thing I see is someone getting shot. Yeah, it's shitty TV. It's not like a real death, but still, I personally am not a huge fan. I'm not a huge fan of it being forced into my face completely against my will or consent or warning.
I sat down to do my notes this morning and never turned on the TV and put on, a horror movie. So you kind of expect there to be death, but it opens with, a coffee shop shotgun shooting. A guy walks in with a shotgun and just takes out a bunch of people in the middle of a coffee shop. And I'm just like, yeah, I wonder why I'm having some anxiety in crowds these days. Right? Like, it's crazy.
I at least want to be like aware of that's what I'm walking into. Like just the abruptness of it. Ugh.
Yeah. And then just, God, the number of men I work with who are angry and own guns. It scares me.
It's not great. It's great. And yeah, Vuji, I totally agree. Two men kissing on TV would be so much worse. So much worse. I'd so much rather be surprised with random shotguns in coffee shops than the concept of two men finding companionship. Ugh.
Yeah. So it's rough. My I don't know. My brain's not handling some of the TV as well as it used to, I feel like, as a kid.
Retreat to Star Trek. From like the 90s. It'll be so soft.
Yeah, really.
All the violence is just, the laser hit me and I flung myself across the room. So violent.
Sometimes ships blow up and you have to, there are people dying on those.
Yeah, but they're such cute little pyrotechnics that are clearly out of scale with the size of the ship. It's just, the unreality of Star Trek violence makes me feel comforted.
Yeah.
Anyway. To wrap up this chapter, Moraine does a little emergency cremation because she has no plausible explanation for why Mearen's body is a body as opposed to an Aes Sedai. So she just torches that.
Right. She can't prove she's black. She can't admit the black exists, much less prove that she's black.
Right. And Lan, of course, is not going to assume she's Black Aja because of that, because they're, orbiting their way towards more and more trust.
Saving each other's lives helps.
It does create a certain level of bond, and there's, why would Moraine do that? And
there's also a moment here where Mearen is like, before she dies, is like, what are you doing here? Which, seems to indicate that the Black Aja obviously doesn't know about Moraine and Suan.
Yes. That does sort of confirm that Tamra was able to leave them out of the interrogation session. And so, yeah, Lan heads off to, inform the proper authorities that 3 important people have just been murdered.
But not why.
But it's like you don't want the guards to be the ones to find the bodies. You want to be like, hey, I just failed to save them. Here are the bodies. Oh, and also they have to deal with Rain's body. Apparently she does an emergency cremation on that too. So both of them are... So Bukama dies. Briss and Dirk and Izel die. Mearen and Reen vanish. It's a rough week for the Aes Sedai Palace.
Yeah.
And Lan basically calls out Mearen for being very, very cool and collected. And, we know that's just the Aes Sedai mask doing its job and hiding all of her torment on the inside. And that is the end of the chapter.
And takes us to the final epilogue. The final Robert Jordan chapter.
Yeah. So it picks up the next morning. Everyone is in mourning. Everyone's wearing white. Aiden's hair is, raggedly cut short. She's intending on giving up on everything to do with being in the world. The dream of bringing Malkir back is dead. Everything's gone.
Yeah, Lady Eden is all fucked up in the head. Like, she's essentially out of it from now on.
All of her hopes and dreams were pinned on her daughter. That was the whole focus of everything. With her dead, everything is ruined. Plus, losing your child is fundamentally going to ruin your life.
And we don't get any follow-up, as far as I can tell, any more mentions of her in Eye of the World.
Yeah, it seems like her retiring from the world probably leads to like death of a broken heart within 10 years kind of deal, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Suan and Moraine talk it all out, figure out about what the Black Lodge's motivations are, that it's luck-based and not timeline-based.
Right. Sort of a lot of information that we've discussed over the course of this novel, but there's a little bit of like, yes, this is what was actually happening the whole time. We get that the boy they were investigating was born 2 miles from Dragonmount. Raheen, I think his name is. So he can't be the guy.
Yeah, and they work out that they are the only 2 people in the world that know that the Dragon Reborn is a baby, and also that a pogrom of lucky men is coming. And then they decide what they're going to do about it, which is to split their efforts.
Right. You go back to the tower. I'm going to go look.
Because they can't search any faster together.
No, but they could split up and both search.
It makes sense to put someone in a position where intelligence is getting gathered, though. The Blue Aja Eyes and Ears network is more than just the tower. Like, that's a specific in to an information network.
True.
Doesn't seem to play out in the end, but I see where they're coming from logically here.
Yeah, and that whole thing about how people who are learning to channel appear lucky.
Right.
Tens of thousands, not hundreds of thousands. I said hundreds of thousands earlier, but it's only tens.
Yeah, only tens.
Only tens.
And it might not even get to 10. I mean, we don't actually know how many people die. We just know that it's a period of heightened death. Swan mentions casually, like, oh yeah, you should probably warn that land guy. But he left to go to the Blight anyhow. Hey, where are you going? Because Moiraine's saying, bye, wifey, I need to go get my work husband.
Right. And then another reinforcement that Codswain's Black Aja. I really think that like half the purpose of this novel is to convince the people who were reading the books, because this came out between 10 and 11, right? And so I think in 10, it was still like we still weren't entirely sure if Codswain was black or not. And so I think he was trying to drop a bunch of misleading clues in this book to get people off track and think she might be evil coming up. And like, I don't know. It's like he wanted to say, oh, not all rude people are Black Aja, even though you might think they are. So I'm going to create a good character who's also really rude and abrasive and annoying.
That's the best I got to explain it. And then, yeah, here's where Moraine says she had made a decision about him the first day she knew him, if he turned out not to be a dark friend. And she intended to keep it. And again, the experience they just went through proves he's not a dark friend. The fact that he instantly aligned with her in not dying to dark friends, that he was being attacked by dark friends, kind of confirms that he's not a dark friend.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like when Swan, picks the Supergirls because they're the targeted by the Black Aja. And she's like, well, that means you aren't of them, because why else would they target you in this thing? So yeah, she chases after Lan and finds him burning his hair rope thingy.
The thing that tied him to Lady Eden and
his virginity hair.
Iselle.
The hair of his childhood that was cut off the first time he was raped.
Yeah, his virginity hair. He's like, I'm not honoring that anymore.
Because it's the whole thing of like, she kept it, right? And then she was going to give it to his bride, right? That's a whole thing. But then, he essentially was able to regain possession of it in the aftermath of everything that happened and take it and burn it. And thus, in his mind, permanently sever himself from the potential of ever reclaiming Malkir, from the right to be a Malkiri king, from the right to call on people. He's just like, no, I'm formally and completely done with that.
Because he's betraying the traditions of Malkir. He's not listening to this, his rapist anymore.
Yeah.
It's the woman who forced him. I mean, yeah, we can argue over the culture, and the initial encounter may have been culturally appropriate. What she did with it since then is not.
For sure. Lots to debate there. But yeah, he's taking something that has clearly caused him a lot of angst and is symbolically purging it from his life with one of the most cleansing substances of all, fire.
Burn with fire.
Yeah, exactly. And, Moraine thinks of it as burning his future. He thinks of it as burning his past. Either way, it frees him up. And yeah, he says, no one will sorrow when I die because those who would are dead already. And she says, hold my tea. I will care about you professionally. Only
fools choose to die before they must. Yeah, it's just a really good interaction where he's like, I'm going to die. She's like, I can use you before then. Come with me. Let's fight. Let's go do a thing. Let me tell you about the inside information I have on the war on the Dark One and the Dragon Reborn and give you a purpose besides dying pointlessly in the Blight. Let me give you a chance to fight back, to support the one who may be able to do the damage to the Dark One that you can't.
Right. And we also see, right, his changing relationship to the concept of Aes Sedai, right? Because he, up until this point, has seen Aes Sedai as entirely, political agents and spiders weaving their webs. And he even pushes back at first, saying, I don't want to be involved in White Tower politics and White Tower plots. And she says, no. That thing that we just experienced, where we were fighting the same war, that's my entire career. That's my entire mission. That was not a fluke. That is what I am here to do, is fight that same war that we, like, you didn't know that an Aes Sedai could be on this level, but we are. And yeah, you want to die effectively? And he says yes, and then he doesn't die by the end of the books.
I can argue with that. I think Rand brings him back to life.
Little Neo and Trinity kind of.
Uh-huh.
That makes sense.
It's the moment where the battle turns and he dies, and Rand brings him back as someone who can stand up and take down, because he took down Demandred, and he died for it. And I think it's more powerful if he died for it and Rand brought him back.
Fair.
But it's, that's one of those things that, like, isn't necessarily in the text. You can definitely say, like, no, Lan survived. But it's like, he took a sword to the ribs and he kind of fell. Rand, like, saw him fall. It's a fake out death. This is the thing, is, like, I hate that Brandon Sanderson does fake out deaths. He does them pretty frequently. And he does them in a way where you think that character is legit dead because it said so on the page. And later he's like, just kidding. And Lan's death is like that. He dies on page. And then he just stands up later and he's fine. And it's like, was the death that vaguely written? I don't think so. I think he died. And so the only way for me to then have him stand back up without saying, I don't like that fake out death that got put in there, is that Rand, and because Rand says something, he says, you weren't paying attention. And it's like, were you not paying attention because Lan actually didn't die? Or were you not paying attention because Rand turned around and brought him back to life when you weren't looking?
So then why does Egwene's "Can't I be a hero too" line get to exist and hit hard?
Mm-hmm.
I don't like fake out deaths.
No, I don't either.
Either let them be clever and wearing a piece of body armor, or let them die.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm not happy with either solution, right? Like, I really do think Lan his death should have been either more vaguely written, or, like, he took its sword and fell. And, like, Rand sees him fall. That's always this weird, do you see someone fall? Do you see them fall to their death? Do you just see them fall over, right? Like, it's such vague terms.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, for another man, she would have left most unsaid, but there were few secrets between Water and Aes Sedai. I mean, we see that in Great Hunt, right? They start to have, like, the first fractures and secrets in their relationship in, like, 20 years, right?
Well, yeah, because he falls in love with somebody else.
Yeah, so, I'm just saying, we know that, like, what's between them as it's set up here really doesn't change for the next 20 years. Like, he is let all the way in from the jump and doesn't have any reason to question her until, he falls in love.
There is this moment where they leave here, and between here and the beginning of Eye of the World, you're like, oh, well, there's been 20 years of just that. Like, yes, there's been trials, yes, there's been tribulations, but they are loyal to each other. Nothing has changed about the relationship. They've just become more the people that they are.
Yeah. And then Lan expresses the Warder bond the way he understands it, which is as an oath, right? Which, coming from Malkiri, is basically magic, right? Malkiri oaths are pretty damn potent. And in the course of doing that, he is the most proud and arrogant man it has ever been. What does she say? On his knees, he made any king on a throne look meek.
Mm-hmm.
She would have to teach him some humility for his own sake and a pawn's sake. She's not ever going to completely get over the childish nature of herself.
No,
and he's not always going to be
not.
mad about it, because it is part of her charm. And then she, surprises him with the fact that there's a little more. He doesn't act surprised, but still, it's more than an oath. But, he's given her the kind of oath where, like, it doesn't matter that she's adding magic to it, because he was going to obey anyway.
Right, but it's not about the oath, it's about the bond. right? And the feeling of emotions. And of course, he can feel her emotions better than she can feel his, because he's very stoic and stone. His emotions are much more pushed down, I feel like.
Yeah, she gets to experience what it's like to have a warder for the first time. And then he gives her a very rousing, bury the dead and move on kind of paragraph talking about, the opening of the book, right? He says the Battle of the Shining Walls or the Blood Snow. And we know that's the opening of the book, right? We're really bookending that, right? He literally refers to
Nice.
Not just the event at the opening of the book, but the event that is what both of them were doing at the opening of the book, right? Like he was in the fight, she was hearing the horns. He's referencing a moment that they both very much have vivid memories of.
That battle, yeah, the battle is huge.
Yeah, and then here's the best part. By the evening of the third day, half were dead or wounded. Had I made different choices, some of those dead would be alive, and others would be dead in their places. In war, you say a prayer for your dead and ride on, right? Like, that's the core of what Bashir tries to get across to Perrin and Rand. It's a core of what every one of the great generals thinks at some point in their internal monologues. Like, it is a huge part of the warrior ethos brain thing that Jordan wanted to write about. Is like, you're gonna make choices that screw up and people will die, and you have to like move on with those decisions. That's a huge part of what Rand has to learn, right? Rand tries to cling to every single decision that he could have made differently, and you can't do that.
You can't play
if
what
you're
if.
going to be a general.
No.
If you're going to be in charge of saving the world, you can't think like that. You have to just understand that that's what it means to be a king, an Aes Sedai, a Dragon Reborn, an Amerlin. Yeah. And then he asks, where are we going to ride next? And she says, literally back to where we just were. It's like the most anticlimactic little like, well, actually I took a pick up my luggage.
Right. But then everywhere, right? Like everywhere and anywhere.
Yeah. So I guess I should just read us out because it's a good readout.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Give us a readout.
Handing her arrow's reins, he said, where do we ride first? Back to Chachin, she admitted, and then to Arafel, and so few names remained that were easy to find. The world, if need be. We win this battle, or the world dies. Side by side, they rode down the hill and turned south. Behind them, the sky rumbled and turned black, another late storm rolling down from the blight.
And the wind arose. I mean, yeah. Just...
There it is!
That's the one.
There it fucking is!
Yeah, just quick. Wouldn't take us any time. Blow right through it. And episodes will be so too short to even put out.
That was Check's Notes, episode 8 of this book. It took us 8 episodes.
Of 2-ish hours each. So, actually my do it in one day, 16 hours start to finish, not that far out of line.
You got the number of hours right.
Yeah. I was like, about 16 hours is about what I think it'll take us.
You were not wrong.
It's just a crazy idea to try and do it. It was just a thought back in the day to try and get it all done. Do a marathon. Back, I think we were streaming more too. Like we had a bigger live audience of 20 people would show up for most of the recordings or some of the recordings. And it was the pandemic times too when I first thought about that. So it was like, oh, people are stuck in their houses. Let's just do a day of streaming.
Also, fun mile marker. This is episode 590.
590. Yeah. Damn.
Yeah.
Damn. Does that mean we'll hit 600? That'll be probably our last major 100 round number.
Yeah. 666, bro.
666 is, we're actually going to get pretty close to 666. I don't think we're quite going to make it based on the episodes I'm looking at, but there are probably going to be around 60 episodes in A Memory of Light based on breaking up the last battle, based on just how it all falls out, right? I think 60 episodes. Am I off on that? Let me look at the calendar. It's all written out now.
But in any case, that was the end of our Pure Jordan stuff.
That was the end of Pure Jordan. I can't believe we're done.
Thank you all so much for being part of this little side quest before we get into our final real chunky book. We will be off air for 1 week just to take our usual break between books, but we're not going to do it tangents because, first of all, episode 0 of the podcast was called New Tangents. So that name's already been taken. And also, we just did a tangents, and it was only 8 episodes to get through this book. So we're just going to take 1 week off to allow me to, maintain my publishing schedule. We will record next week for the sake of the lives, but we're going to take 1 week off from publishing. And then we're going to be back with A Memory of Light and all of the wailing and gnashing of teeth that entails.
My only news, I've been trying to teach my wife how to juggle and how to play chess, which are 2 ways to frustrate her at the same time. So
that's hilarious. 2 different ways. One's very intellectual, one is very physical.
Very physical.
Equally frustrating.
and I'm like, oh, you're done with you're done frustrated with that? Let's talk about something else. And no, but she's doing amazing. She's picking up chess faster than I thought possible, and is cussing at the juggling balls more than I thought possible. So yeah, she's doing really well at both.
Fantastic.
But yeah, I think other than that, for me, life's been pretty run of the mill.
How's that heat wave treating you?
I have central AC. What heat wave?
Love that for you. I told you about how I fixed my window with a piece of fabric, right?
No, I don't think so.
Oh my God. So my laundry room, there's a window in it that faces south, and I covered that with a white sheet a couple years ago, and that helped. But there was the door that faced east, with a big window in it, and a month ago, I put a sheet of muslin fabric over it, and the house has stayed like 5 degrees cooler per day.
Oh, nice.
Like, it was the most, like, that room has always been warm and venting heat into the house, and the house does warm up throughout the day. And like, I used to be that I could keep the temperature inside and outside as much as 10 degrees apart. Now it's like, we're starting to close in on like 14 or 15 degrees apart.
Nice.
Like, I am just so embarrassed I didn't think of doing this soon. Like, I've had this fabric the whole time, but just blocking up this one, like 18 by 12 hole that's just letting this lava just pour into my house, and just put up this piece of white fabric. And because physics, because albedo, poof, the house is suddenly so much cooler. It's like a cave. It was just that one hole. I feel like I plugged like a giant hole in the side of my boat, and now I'm not sinking. It's just been the most amazing reality check.
The trick I've heard that's supposedly by physicists say that's most effective is aluminum foil on the outside of the window. Because if you can reflect that light...
I bet that would be amazing, yeah.
You reflect the light before it even comes in your house, right? The white sheet's doing a good job of reflecting it back out, but the light has already entered your house, and some of it is being converted into heat. And so if you can block it out 100% of it, and you're probably getting like 95% of it, right? Like, or who knows?
White is so effective.
White is very effective. Yeah.
The window behind me, the purple behind me, that has light blocking fabric in it. The liner is literal blackout fabric, and that has made a massive difference because this room points west. So when the sun sets, I start getting baked out of this room, and this window slows that down by almost 2 hours. But the wall itself heats up, and the curtain can't help with the fact that the entire wall has heated up. But yeah, using the reflectance, whether that is simply white fabric or all the way up to blackout or metal material, yeah. Or yeah, putting like a solar panel over the window, or like something that my parents did when I was growing up was they grew, a nice shady sheet of leafy beans, like runner beans, just like up in front of the porch, and just made a living shade curtain that, goes away in the fall again.
We have I'm in a row home, so the front of my first story is a second story glass sliding door that opens out onto a balcony, and so the entire wall is basically glass, right? And so the sun definitely will bake us, but what we have is blackout curtains with a white back, and that does an amazing job of just reflecting the heat right back outside.
Just because of the physics, just because of the fact that it's white, it reflects back all the frequencies. And like if those frequencies don't get in the house in the first place because they were making a bright white square on the exterior, it's like killing an enemy in D&D before it can do any damage. Like you don't need to heal if the enemy is dead. It's like the strategy of like, you don't try to have every one of your characters fighting a different person. All pile on the same enemy, because an enemy with 1 hit point can still destroy your ass. But if it's dead, it can do 0 damage whatsoever.
I was thinking of reflecting the arrow rather than healing from it, but yeah.
Totally. It's just don't even let the heat in the house. They don't have to deal with getting rid of it again. I don't need a heat pump, right? There is no heat to pump. Ha! So anyway.
Reminds me when I worked at the energy efficiency company, one of the things we would get grocery stores to do was to replace their light bulbs in their refrigerators, because at the time they were using incandescent bulbs, which incandescent bulbs are essentially mini heaters, right?
Those are like one human is an incandescent bulb, or a chicken or whatever. Yeah. Like, oh, that's so much heat. Oh my God.
That's so much heat, right? So you're essentially
Stop hitting yourself.
lighting these products, and to light the products you have to generate a bunch of heat that you then also have to refrigerate away. And so you have these energy intensive light bulbs creating energy intensive air conditioning. And so we'd pay them to replace, and they'd be like, well, we don't like the way it looks on our product, and be like, I don't care, it's going to save you so much money.
Yeah, do you like the color green? 'Cause yeah. Oh my God, that's ridiculous. Yeah, definitely.
I just realized I'm not charging my laptop, and it's going to die if I don't go grab a charger.
You need to go grab a charger.
Yeah, I'll be right back.
Then we'll start talking about stuff that actually deserves to stay on recording. It's a very slow wind up today, guys. Okay, I'll keep the physics discussion about Windows for the after show. Yeah, it's amazing what just basic principles of physics can inspire in your head sometimes. Like, wait a second, I don't need some fancy material. I just need white. White will do it. Thank you for listening to the Wheel of Time Spoilers podcast. Please rate and review us on your podcast app, and consider supporting us on Patreon for ad-free episodes. What Spoilers is a production of Fox and Raven Media. For more podcasts from Fox and Raven Media, visit our website at foxandravenmedia.com.